The team that I have number one in the rankings, and why you all don't think that they ain't played nobody. I'm going to tell you, they played Minnesota. They put 52 up on Minnesota. Let's hear PJ Fleck describe to you what it was like coaching against that team.
They're as good as advertised. I said this on the radio a second ago. I think they're the best football team I've seen in 11 years of being a head coach. I've never seen a football team like that deep. I'm not sure if this is true, but I was told this walking off the field. I think they traveled 75 people and maybe played like 74 of them. I don't know. I mean, they're one of the deepest teams, one of the best teams, one of the biggest teams, fastest teams, strongest teams, and they do not make mistakes.
And they do not make mistakes. PJ Fleck looked shook in that post game. And people are like, who is Minnesota? All right, it ain't about who is Minnesota. It's Michigan is doing what I demand of the number one team in the country, because we're not handing out the number one. I'm not going to leave Georgia there just because. I don't give a damn what they did at Kentucky. I saw you need to come back against South Carolina. All right? South Carolina ain't nobody this year. I saw you need to come back against Auburn in Hugh Freeze's year one. They ain't nobody this year. Michigan is the most complete football team in America. Offensively, defensively, special teams. They are different. And PJ Fleck is an outstanding football coach. And he references 11 years as a head coach, where he's won 11 games in a season, where he's played in New Year's Six Bowl, right? Where he led Western Michigan into, my goodness, a New Year's Six Bowl appearance, and he was shook by this team. I think that speaks volumes about just how good Michigan is. But, let's put some numbers to it. They are giving up just 6.67 points per game. Okay? I don't care if you played the JV Palm Squad down the street. They probably go get 6 or more. Michigan has said absolutely not. And I love this stat from The Athletic's Max Olson unearthed this one. 313 plays have been played against the University of Michigan's defense over 6 games. Not once have they defended a first and goal. That means nobody has managed to run a play inside the 10-yard line. Jesse Minter has those dudes on a different level, and they got playmakers everywhere. Like, we go to the offense because it's easy to talk about quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers than it is to talk about linebackers, defensive linemen in the secondary. But take my point here. J.J. McCarthy is for Michigan what Bo Nix is for Oregon. And yet J.J. McCarthy, I think, is a more talented passer. J.J. McCarthy doesn't have to go win them football games. Neither does Bo Nix, because he's got dudes. He's got Roman Wilson out there who is sneakily in the running for the Biletnikoff Award, because all that dude does is keep catching touchdown passes, okay? He's got Blake Corum in the backfield, and we have not said a single word about Blake Corum all year long because it's just been so dominant on defense. They got Donovan Edwards still back there. He's got dudes. They've got the deepest offensive line in the entire country. You heard Jim Nagy say so on this here show going into the preseason that they could have 7 guys get drafted in the same draft, and he's never seen anything like that. And then you got PJ Fleck, a man who absolutely knows from ball, saying, I've never seen a team that deep. To those that don't understand, being able to play 74, 75 players means you trusted all of them, and there was not a single bit of drop-off. You weren't throwing people out there that couldn't defend themselves or couldn't go get touchdowns or couldn't make tackles. Everybody that they traveled can play. You don't get to say that often in college football. You don't even get to say that often in the NFL, and they only got 53 men on the roster. It's ridiculous what Michigan is doing. And this is all when they're inviting Indiana for the big noon game. That's what Gus and Joel are going to call. But I'm also looking at this going, I don't care they ain't played nobody. You know why I don't care that they don't play nobody? Because the College Football Playoff Selection Committee don't care that they played nobody. Okay? They're going to make the rankings, and we got to live with them. But even so, they didn't play nobody last year, and they ran through their regular season schedule like a knife through hot butter. It was ridiculous what they did against Ohio State in 2021, what they did against Ohio State in 2022, what they did against Penn State last year. I don't need them to play anybody anymore. And you know what? I have to live with that because it means that we're probably not going to see Michigan play somebody until next year. And when next year, that's going to be fun. They got Fresno State and Texas in their non-conference. Like, there's no dodging anything next year. We're going to see Michigan get it what's coming to them next year. But you get my point here. Like, for me, that's the team that I expect to play in the national title game, and the team that really wants Georgia this year. You know, the way that we used to say we want Bama, I think Michigan is in a position now that they want Georgia. Again, all this without a single player that is a Heisman contender, because they're so good at spreading the ball around at Michigan, because they don't need the one guy to go win them football games, a la the CW, a la Michael Penix Jr., or even Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma. We'll talk a bit about what's going to impact him here in the second half of the season, but I just think it's important to note that unlike Washington, USC, or even Florida State, Michigan has dudes on the numbers, 7.5 yards deep, and the best defense in the entire country. I fail to see how anybody can't rank that team number one. And of course, I'm going to kick them against Tom Allen's Indiana. For me, it's about name your number. Again, I don't need them to be flashy, because I didn't need Alabama to be flashy in 2009, 2011, 2012, any one of these national championship team years that come before Lane Kiffin. Even then, they ran the football with Derrick Henry 400 times or whatnot. They are a great football team. And you know what? I think that team goes in as number one. They finish undefeated. Let's assume they beat Ohio State. Let's assume they win the Big Ten championship. They're going to get the 4 seed. The 4 seed might come out of the ACC, which is why I think that it's really great that we get number 25 Miami at number 12 North Carolina this Saturday too, because this is going to be as much a referendum on Mario Cristobal at Miami as it is North Carolina as a national championship caliber team. Okay? We did not expect this game to be a referendum on Mario Cristobal at Miami, but he did that when he decided to run the football instead of taking a knee and running out the clock against Georgia Tech. Don Chaney fumbled the football. Haynes King picked the football up, went 74 yards, 25 seconds, whatnot, and goes win Georgia Tech's football game against Miami, spoiling Miami's undefeated season. I dropped it out of the top 25 for that, okay? But the AP voters think it's a top 25 team even so. So I'll be curious to see if Mario Cristobal still has his team, right? Because if you're playing for him, are you wondering what he's doing under duress now? Because he's done this a second time, right? He did this when he was at Oregon against Stanford, and it led to Stanford beating them in overtime. Now that he's done it twice, you got to look at him and go, okay, dude, who's your Shane Beamer? I say you're Shane Beamer because Lincoln Riley brought in Shane Beamer as the 10th assistant at Oklahoma primarily for these sorts of decisions to be made, calling timeouts, when we're running the clock out, the big coaching decision that needs to be made in the moment when your mind might be occupied or elsewhere. Perhaps he's thinking about the offensive line. Could be anything, but they lost the football game. It's also the Hurricanes needing this win to not just stay in the top 25, but to have us believing they can still win the ACC, because it's North Carolina, and then they still have left on the schedule undefeated Florida State, undefeated Louisville, and whatever the hell Clemson will be going into that week when they play them. I'm not sure what it is, but it's certainly a team that I think could beat Miami. So that's one, okay? I think Tyler Van Dyke's a great quarterback, if not, he ain't the best quarterback in the ACC, because I'm going to talk about the best quarterback in the ACC, but he's certainly capable of beating up on that defense at North Carolina. But North Carolina, I hope y'all are not playing with Tar Heel fans' emotions, because there's a whole bunch of big worms over there, and you don't want to be smoky, okay? Playing with their Carolina blue is playing with their emotions, okay? They don't seem like the type to take it very well if you go into this game against Miami, a game you're supposed to win, and you lose it. Now, that said, Drake May went into this season as one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the sport. Now, whether or not he's still that guy, we can debate it, but I watched him last week, and he went for 442, okay? He'll sling it, and they'll give him opportunities to continue to sling it. He's got a couple of running backs back there that I really like. British Brooks, I think, is going to come on in that spellback role, and we'll see what Nate McCullum can do. I'm really excited to see Tez Walker back on the football field. They're going to have opportunities to go score, and I think the way that Mac has built this program out is phenomenal. Like, North Carolina football is fun to watch. But it's also one of the last big games on the schedule for them, so you got to get up for this one. It's Miami. And then the next, and I believe the only ranked opponent they have left so far, is Duke. I don't know that there is a fan base in America that loves to beat the hell out of Duke more than Carolina. I can't imagine that Carolina would go into that game going, "Ooh, we scared of Duke." No. They want to go in that game dunking. Like, I will never forget Carolina sending Mike Krzyzewski out with an L on the biggest stage in basketball. I know Mac Brown would like nothing more than to spoil an undefeated season for Mike Elko's Duke as the head coach at Carolina. But this is also about not just playing the ACC title game, but who gets that college football playoff spot. Because right now we're talking about North Carolina, Louisville, Florida State, 3 best teams in the ACC. I don't believe Florida State is the best team in the ACC. I don't know if Louisville is the best team in the ACC. So this is an opportunity for North Carolina to make me a believer. Show me what you got. Because if Carolina goes in and hands Miami this L going away, they feel like a clear favorite. And by the way, they ain't got to play Louisville this season, all right? They ain't got to play Florida State this season. They would only see them in an ACC title game, in which case I think I would pick Carolina to go win that. But again, you got to get past Miami first, and then we'll talk. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.